Before the success stories, the progress, there was you. You who made a choice to grow, to inspire, to overcome your own challenges. At NASM, we're in service of your limitless potential, because when you keep growing, we all get stronger, and we'll never stop making your journey our mission. Join the fitness leader. Become a fitness leader. Become a certified personal trainer.
You're listening to Random Fit with hosts Wendy Batts and Ken Miller, winner of a Gold Markham Award for Digital Media.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Random Fit. I am Wendy Batts, here with my friend and co-host, as always, Ken Miller. Ken, how are you?
I'm good, Wendy. How you doing?
I am good. All right. Starting to cool down a little bit here, so I am looking forward to, well, it is football season, so super stoked about that. And yeah, it's my favorite time of year, so can't get any better than that. Ken, this week, we are going to be talking about the power of fitness challenges. And those of you guys that talk to me pretty frequently know that I am in the process of doing a fitness challenge. And it is not always, it is one of those things that's called 75 Hard. If you guys haven't heard about it, it's something that Andy Frisella does. He talks about it on his podcast. It's one of these things that's free. You can look at what all you have to do. There are certain things that you have to do each and every day. So in my personal opinion, it should not be called 75 hard. It's more 75 inconvenient, because it's definitely something that you have to plan, but it is very interesting. And Mr. Miller here is also part of this challenge and has had to start over a few times because he's missed a few things.
It's always something. And I think there was one day, so for 75 hard, you've got, and correct me if I miss any one of these points, Wendy, but on this challenge, there's a set of things and tasks that you have to do, check boxes, I like to call them, between outdoor exercise, indoor exercise. You have to read, you have to drink a gallon of water, you have to take a picture of yourself, and Is there anything else, Wendy? Am I missing anything?
So so you read 10 pages of a nonfiction book. You have to do a 45-minute workout outside, and it can be raining, it can be cold, it could be really hot, doesn't matter, but it has to be outside. Another 45-minute workout, but they cannot be consecutive. So if I play tennis and I'm playing for 3 hours, it's one 45-minute outdoor activity. One. So you have to do another one at a separate time, and it can be indoor or outdoor. Like you said, a gallon of water, taking a picture of yourself every day for 75 days. I hate that part personally. Don't like it. You don't share it with anyone. You follow a diet that's good for you. So for me, I am looking at more calories and a higher protein diet. That's my preference. Some people like keto, some people like other things. No desserts, no alcohol. Yeah, it's pretty intense. And this is every day, y'all. This isn't just like once a week. This is every day. Talk to Ken. Yeah. He's on his walk. Super proud of him. He sends me a text message. Failed. Forgot to read. I'm like, well, day one. Here we go. Could you start over?
Well, there was, and because we did this over the summer, and we had some outings that we knew we were going to be out with friends. We were going to be very social. Between food and drink, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, I'm okay with Monday being day one again. But there'd be some of those days, food was good, hydration was good, sleep was good, exercise was good, reading was good, but I forgot to take a picture of myself. So there were a couple of times it's like, oh, awesome. I wake up and I'm like, no picture. So I've been perpetually in day one. But the great thing about this is that, I mean, if I've got 4 out of 7 of those requirements, I'm still making changes in my life for the better, whether it's, maybe I get the outdoor walk with my dog. That's my 45 minutes outside. And maybe I only get like 20 minutes of workout indoors. And that's 20 more minutes than I would have pushed myself to do maybe on that day. So I'll say that when it came to the challenge, Wendy, I'm so happy that you brought it into my life. Uh, but from the standpoint that, you know, getting 60, 75% of what the tasks require to complete a full day is still better than doing none of it. So that I appreciate, but it does take a lot of planning. I got to plan my day. It's more about the discipline. And I think when we talk about challenges today, that's basically what it's about. When you look at whatever the challenge is, whatever the duration of a challenge is, that's one of the biggest things that go into it. Is you can't just go into it blindly or half-heartedly. You have to plan, you have to have intention if you're going to do something all the way from beginning to end. And that's what I love about what we are doing. I mean, although I'm not committing to it 100%, but it's still better than what I would have done without it.
Well, and I think it's important when we're talking about challenges, there's so many different challenges that you can do. You can do a 30-day challenge, you can do team challenges, you can do personal challenges, and you can do event-based challenges, meaning if you want to run a marathon, you've got to, like you said, start with planning. And Ken, the reason I'm doing this, like I said, it wasn't that I wanted to weigh a certain amount or look a certain way. It was one of those things that were brought to me because an individual that I cared deeply about was like, I need help and I want somebody to hold me accountable. And I want someone to motivate me to continue on. That's why then I called Ken and said, you're doing this with me, and he's failed. However, this other individual has done really, really well. And they really needed to lose weight because they were becoming unhealthy, because they were working more. They were sitting in front of their computer. Their posture was going downhill. They were not doing self-care and taking care of themselves. So then I looked in the mirror and said, listen, I am not doing some of this as well. I wasn't taking time and reading something that was non-fictional, that wasn't, you guys know I teach for Penn West. I'm constantly reading people's work and looking at their research, but it wasn't something that was my choice of something that I wanted to read. So it was good to kind of get back into the mix of things that interest me and me forcing myself to make time. And so one of the things with a challenge, and when I said it's inconvenient, is when you're planning ahead of time, you've got to look for the next 75 days. These are the things that I have planned. How am I going to make this work? For example, I went to see my father and I had to drive 7 hours. I was with my entire family. So I got up at 4 a.m. I went for my walk. I came back, I showered. I had to drop my dogs off at the kennel. We got in the car. We drove 7 hours. We got there. We spent time with him. When he went to bed, I did my other 45-minute walk. Because again, that second one can be indoor or outdoor. I didn't have access to a gym, so I walked again. And then I started cleaning and doing things that daughters do for their fathers that live alone, and realized that it was after midnight. And I thought, well, I don't want to take time away from spending it with my dad. So while he was still asleep, I went for my other 45-minute walk. So I've walked 3 times before I even slept, because that way I only had to make 45 minutes away from him when I really wanted to spend quality time. Now, when I say it's inconvenient, did I like that? No. Did I really need a shower after all that? Absolutely. However, it's one of those things that I didn't want to break the challenge, because I am also being held accountable. So it was good for me to be able to show myself I can do this. And if I set my mind to something, I'm not going to be the one to screw it up.
Right. And I think, I glean from that, Wendy, because when you told me that Tony went out for a walk after 10 o'clock at night, and I'm talking to you early in the morning, which is early for me, and I know it's early for you. Here I am thinking, okay, well, I need to make this happen for myself. So you're bringing up accountability, and you're bringing up having that person that's on the other end that knows what you're doing, knows what you're trying to do. And, I felt obligated because when you and I talk pretty regularly, and I know that when we talk, I want to be able to give you a good report. So, and there was that time I was in Arizona, two different trips, and I had to wake up 5 a.m. my time because we had a 7 o'clock start time for a workshop that I was doing out there. And because we had breakfast early, we had a commute. I had to wake up at least an hour and a half before my day had to start going. So I went for that run. And I know that when you and I talked at the latter part of my run, you finished off the workout with me, and I was able to say, hey, I got my 45 minutes outside. And then after the workday was done, I knew I was going to have time in the hotel fitness center and get another 45 minutes of resistance training in there. So that accountability towards the goal, if you know what I want to do and what I want to accomplish for myself, which is different from your goal, because you have your family, you have tennis, you play tennis avidly. I just want to be able to throw the ball with my son, and I just want to be able to wake up with my low back not barking at me and my knees not barking at me. So I've got a different purpose for why I would need to make these changes in my life. So that's the other part of it, is like, I have my goals, you have your goals, we respect each other's goals, and I just want to be able to have a good conversation. I'm not stressed about, oh, I still have to do my thing, and versus tell you, I send you that little text message, do a little screenshot of my heart rate,
Mhm.
how it was during my run, and then we give a little clapping emoji or a high five emoji, and you actually feel good for the rest of your day when you have that accountability towards somebody.
When I think when you look at, and if you guys ever done any research, which Ken and I usually try to do some, versus just talk about what we're in the process of doing, there are primary purposes for challenges. And overall, one of the number one, which seems like it's common sense, is you're improving your own health and fitness. So when you're doing the other 45 minutes, it can be cardio based, it can be weight based. You can do different things, different times. You can go outside and just lunge. You can do push-ups. You can do anything that you want outside or inside. And that actually makes having the variety keeps it from becoming stale. So if I want to run that day, I can. If I want to get on my bike, I would do that. If I want to walk. And my neighbors now honestly think that I've lost my mind because I have a lot of big hills in my neighborhood. So when I'm walking, I will turn around and walk those hills backwards. So therefore my quads are burning a lot more. It's something different. I'm not always using the same muscles, going in the same direction. I change my path all the time. And so I think it's also important that when you're looking at purposes, you have to have your why. And Ken, you and I have done different podcasts talking about the importance of, if you don't have a goal, then it's never going to work. What is your purpose and what is your why? Mine is, I wanted to be able to show myself I could do this. My goal is, can I do this for 75 days? And how am I going to make that work? And then the benefits of that is also going to help me change some habits when I now know that I can make the time and that I did it successfully for 75 days. I can do anything as long as I stick with it. And that accountability, again, helps keep me on task. Plus, a big thing too is boosting confidence of knowing now I can walk faster. The amount of time it took me to walk this same route, I can walk way faster than I did when I started, and I feel better doing it. And now I'm adding some different things. I'm doing intervals, I'm doing walking, I'm running in different paths that I didn't normally do. But it's also, one of the best things is it's building more social interaction. More people in my neighborhood's like, what are you doing? I've seen you walk. I see you walk twice a day sometimes. Sometimes you're on your phone. Sometimes you have your earbuds in and you're just all focused. And to me, it's all inclusive. And I think that if you have your purpose and you know why, and then you see all of these benefits that are going to follow along, then you're going to be successful. And then afterwards you can say, you know what, I did that. And I didn't die doing it.
No, we're still sitting here talking about it, but here you are. Thank you guys for listening to both Wendy Batts and I here on Random Fit. And on this episode, we're talking about the power of fitness challenges. And Wendy, you bring up some great points. We are talking about changing our lives, changing our health and wellness for the better. And when we talk about improving, you mentioned improving health and fitness, And I want to say that, I remember my cousin, he was a part of these different office challenges where, and I know, Wendy, you've had these people that tell you, you're like, hey, you've lost a little bit of weight. You're seeing somebody and you know that they've lost some weight, and then they'll say, oh, I'm a part of this challenge in my office, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but we've all seen that they've lost some weight, and they tell you what's at stake. Now, I'll say that I've had some friends do it, and my cousin actually sticks out in my mind to where he lost some weight, and he goes, well, we have this challenge. We all had to put money into a pool, and whoever lost the most weight won the money. I don't know. Have you seen this before?
Oh yes. Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So everybody's now money motivated. But here's the here's the thing. They basically starved themselves. And if we're talking about doing a challenge for the sake of improving health and fitness and building habits, you're not building any habits if what you're doing is eating can of tuna and lettuce just for the sake of, literally, that's what I'm eating fish, I'm eating chicken, and I'm eating carrots and lettuce. That's not sustainable, right? That's not a sustainable behavior. So at the end of these challenges where somebody might win hundreds of dollars, at the end of it all, well, what's happened? They've lost the weight, they're smaller, taking up less space, but they've lost fat, but they've also lost muscle. And from that vantage point, they're not that much better off at the end of the challenge compared to when they started the challenge. And these are the things that we want to be more aware of when you're looking at a challenge and incorporating a challenge. Think about where are you gonna be by the end of the challenge. So if we're talking about you, Wendy, 75 hard, at the end of the 75 days, are you better off at the 76th day than day one? And that's the question that you have to ask when figuring out, is this challenge right for me? Am I benefiting my health and fitness? Am I building up habits that I want to keep for the rest of my life, or at least for an extended period of time, because they improve you as a person? And is it going to help you socially? Is it something that's going to help build your confidence when it comes to your exercise program, your fitness program in general, as well as your confidence in knowing what you can eat and where you can eat, and knowing that it's not going to be of detriment to your health? Or if it is, it's not that big of a deal because you're going to be able to take daily habits moving forward. So you're doing a lot more good, exponentially more good than you are bad. So that's the one thing I want to make sure that we understand, that as a challenge, is it sustainable? Is it going to put you on the right path to where maybe, yeah, you don't have to take a picture of yourself every day. Maybe you're reading 8 pages instead of 10, but overall, are you in a better position now compared to when you first started the challenge?
Well, and I think too, you have to be realistic when you're setting challenges because, to your point, Ken, when you're talking about a weight loss challenge, stop eating as much. Well, okay, what are you eating? And are you still within a calorie restricted level that's safe, healthy, and ideal? Because if you starve yourself for however long your challenge may be, say you're doing a 30-day challenge and people stop eating or they're eating very minimal, as soon as that 30 days is over, whether you win or lost, or whether you won or you lost, excuse me, I think it's very important to say, well, can you maintain that? So for me, when we sat down and we were doing this challenge, we sat down and were honest, like, all right, how many calories a day should we take? Do we both feel like we need based on our activity level? So we set realistic goals. Then we actually started measuring certain things out. So we knew how we could break up snacks and breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We wanted it to be, like I said, my choice. Everyone's different, but I wanted a higher protein type of diet than what I was currently doing. No fried foods, no desserts. Y'all, I love some desserts like tres leches, creme brulee, like you're talking my language when we're doing that. So I'm really struggling with that type of things, or those type of things. However, I found other alternatives that are healthier and higher protein that gives me that little sweet fix, if you will. So I think it's something that I can maintain, not saying that I'm not going to indulge in certain times. I mean, the holidays will be coming up before we know it. So will I have a piece of cake for a birthday party? Absolutely. Will I have this? Absolutely. Will I do it right now? No. But we also made sure that the time frame didn't fall within the holidays or a birthday where we had to say no and miss out on something. And like I say, miss out for us personally. So I think it's important too to set realistic goals and make sure that when you're doing this, that maybe it isn't about weight. Maybe it's about something else. For me, I wanted to see, can I carve in the time to actually make this work? If I look at the scale, I'm not happy in comparison to Tony, who's also doing it with me, because he's lost so much weight doing the exact same thing, eating more calories because he's a guy, he burns more calories than me. I look at our number differences. I'm like, how is this possible? However, he's a man. He's not drinking. He's working out more. He's doing things as well. I'm like, oh. So if I looked at the number, I would be very discouraged. However, I'm not, because I feel better. I feel better. I want to do things. I'm happier. And I'm showing myself that I can. So just be careful when you're thinking through these, because when you're reading about challenges, one of the main things that happen is people get discouraged and they quit, but they didn't set those realistic goals. And so that is also going to be key. If you want to do a challenge, get your friends and family involved. You want to just make sure too that it's something that is going to benefit everyone. But that's why that health and fitness component should be number one over weight loss.
100%. And I like your idea of goals, because one of the things that I was forced to do, I don't say forced to do, but as part of it, just the being outside part. And I had to mix up the walking with running, because as I changed intensity of being outside, I changed the intensity of what I did inside. So I couldn't lift heavy every day, but I had to manage range of motion, flexibility, core, along with the heavier lifting days, because now I'm lifting every day, some way, shape, or form. And I think one of the things about goals is also being able to look out for the goals you didn't anticipate happening. So naturally, body composition is going to be one of those things. If you're stepping on a scale, seeing how your clothes fit. One of the things that I noticed just on my tracker through my Garmin was and I don't know how yours is these days, Wendy, but my VO2 max, my predicted VO2 is actually getting better. Mm-hmm. Right? My VO2 it's going in the right direction, where it was stagnant before, but now that I've had to increase the frequency and just to try and keep from getting bored, I had to vary what I did to where now I'm sprinting across the park. So I'm doing more interval work. And that is one of the unanticipated benefits as far as what's my body going to do to respond to the stresses that I do for it. So I'm watching my HRV, my heart rate variability, my VO2 max. HRV is a little bit higher. My VO2 max is a little bit higher, but it's all because, getting the goal of being outside for the sake of being outside, being in nature. We've talked about earthing. There have been times where I've taken off my shoes, I'm in the park, and I just walk for another 15 minutes just to be outside. And those are the things that what you talked about, Wendy, is if you're feeling better and you're varying things up, think about how you feel internally. And I'm just seconding what you just said, Wendy, is I feel better. I can breathe better. I don't feel as labored doing activities of daily living, going up and down the stairs. My knees aren't barking at me, even though I've lost a little bit of weight. The strength, mobility, from a cardiorespiratory fitness standpoint, I know I've made some changes, which that was not a primary goal. But guess what I'm paying attention to now? And guess what I want to further improve and increase? It's my cardiorespiratory fitness. So don't be surprised if you find something that is motivating and you change your goals, or you have a secondary goal. And that's something else to pay attention to. Is you said something reasonable, but who knows what your body will tell you later on as far as, hey, check this out. Look what else you're good at.
Well, and I think there's two really good points that you made. Do a challenge that's going to benefit you. So if you haven't been doing anything, then, they have things such as couch to 5Ks, or just even getting off the couch and going for a walk. I had someone that had, he's a golfer friend of mine, one of my dearest friends, and he stopped doing a lot of things. And now he wants to get back playing golf. He's like, I just feel so tired. I feel really weak, because he just didn't do anything. First of all, don't do that. Second of all, well, okay, just start walking. Because if you're going to have to walk 18 holes, how long does that usually take you if you were to walk consecutively 18 holes? Well, why don't you start with a 30-minute walk? Do it once a day, and then do a little bit longer. Then maybe try to speed up your walk, and then go a little bit longer. So it's one of those things where you want to be smart in what you're doing. What we're talking about with this 75 hard, it's really extreme. And people are like, well, you always talk about repetitive movement and overtraining, and you're going to be overtrained, and you're going to be doing this, that, and the other. That's wrong. However, I'm smart about it. And that's when Ken and I have talked in a lot of Random Fits. And if you haven't had the opportunity, go back and listen to some of those, because some of my indoor things, if I had a really hard tennis match, I'm not going to come in and lift really heavy. It's not like, let's do a hit every day. It's not that. It's more of, maybe that's, like you said, it's a flexibility, recovery, movement, quality day is my indoor 45 minutes that I'm doing at home. If you're going to be running every day and working out, lifting heavy every day, you can get yourself injured, and it's not smart. So if you want to work out every day and lift weights, then switch up the body parts. Don't do everything every day. If you want to go out and be active outside, think about how demanding it is that you're doing, and maybe do hard something 3 or 4 days a week and something a little bit lighter for the other days. If you wanted to do it for 7 full days, take a full day off if you're not doing something that requires you to do something every day in the challenge. It's okay to do that. And you are going to see and reap all kinds of benefits, like Ken said, that I said. But just don't go all out 100% day one, because that's what leads to failure. That's what leads people to stop challenges. And it's one of those things where you're trying to change your lifestyle and your journey, but nobody starts the journey with the end goal in mind to start. It should be little steps to get you to that end goal long term. So that's my major key takeaway is, be smart in how you're going to do it. Choose challenges that are going to be hard for you mentally and challenge you physically, but then also don't overdo it and push past something where you could eventually get hurt.
And I think to ride on that, on top of the variations, so you have your more intense, you have your less intense, but we just can't forget that movement needs to be fun. It has to be enjoyable. We forget about the idea of fit, frequency, intensity, time, and type, and enjoyable. If it's going to be a slog and you are waking up and you're just cringing and thinking, I got to do this thing again, or this is leg day, or this is the day that I've got to go up and down that hill, you're not going to want to do it. If anything, it's going to cause you more anxiety. So part of the challenge, like you're saying, Wendy, if it's couch to 5K, if it's a plank challenge, try and find we've talked about different ways to challenge the core. We can make planks fun. We can move the hips. We can pick up an arm, pick up a leg. We can do it in different sequences. So if you're one of those that saw the plank challenge and you are going to do that 30-day challenge, you're going to do a plank all day, great. If it's fun, if it's enjoyable, but find some way to make it fun, something that's going to be less dreadful, and dare I say, even something that you're going to look forward to.
Yes, I will. 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't look forward to that alarm going off that early. However, if it's in my schedule, I look at my schedule, and it's interesting. Now I'm really focused on my schedule every day. from, okay,
Yeah.
what time I have to, these are the things that have to get done. So then I work backwards and I have to work forward and try to figure out like the balance is like a little chunk here, a little chunk there. And it's one of those things where I think if you have a community, you have the social support, you're smart and coming up with the challenge together. Accountability is huge, because I make Ken feel guilty. Day one, start over, bro. I'm in the 50s, by the way, if anyone cares. And
You're almost there.
because I was not about to start over. If I've gone this far, I'm not ruining it now. But I have that mindset. And so I think it's fun. I get to talk to my friends and my family about it. Some of the people think I've lost my mind. Other people, especially on game day, are like, you're seriously not having a beer with me? I'm like, I will not have a beer with you until October 4th. That is my final day. I will cheers and have a beer that I did it. But it's also one of those things where I realize how much better I feel every morning when I wake up and I'm hitting the ground running and I don't feel as tired. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't feel tired every day. I just don't.
There you go. All right. Well, you're an example. You're a prime example of somebody who's going to be better off on October 5th than you were 75 days before that. So
True.
great job, Wendy. Keep it up. And hopefully at one of our future actually on our recordings in October, we'll give an update, right? Keep
Yeah,
it
so
posted.
you're like, I did it, or I'm on day one, y'all.
I'm gonna make that a shirt. Day one.
Day
Day or day one, right? One of those. All right, Wendy. Hey, so this was great. I kind of look at this episode recording as a check-in, and I'm glad to see you're doing so well. You're looking really good, so keep it up. And I'm glad that you're feeling better because I know how busy you are, and I know that one of our discussions months ago was more about I just don't have time for myself. And the fact that you've got it on your calendar, you're making efforts, you're taking action. I'm proud of you, Wendy. Keep it up. That's good work. And we'll talk tomorrow probably, but I'll talk to you on a walk.
That's
but for those of you listening to us on Random Fit, hopefully you enjoyed our little check-in here on Wendy's 75 hard and my day one. Perpetually it's day one. But thanks for listening to us on this episode and listening to us talk about the power of fitness challenges. So if you liked what we talked about here on Random Fit, like, follow, subscribe, share, download, but more importantly, if you want us to talk about something that interests you regarding fitness, let us know and we will get that on a future episode. So until next time, everybody, take care and be well.